Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Friday, December the 31st, the last day of the year. And the year is 2021. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly, monthly, and yearly wrap-up. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. So, as we look into this last trading day of the year, we note that two of the weekly open gaps have not filled, and that the pound is 15 pips off of the high, now 149 pips off of the low, and 144 pips above the weekly open. So it's been a green week on the pound. So anybody taking that breakout here of the previous week's high has been paid off nicely. And if we take a look, we can see that price actually poked into the opening range for the year. And for those of you, if you're just tuning in and wondering what that means, the first day of the year was back here and it put in a high and a low. That's the opening range for the year. And as you can see, prices dipped in it and bounced up through it and then came down below it and then went way down below it. And looks like we might just come back into with a possible close in the opening range for the year. We're way above the opening range for the week and even further above the opening range for the month. So for those of you trading the opening range breakouts, you were paid off nicely too. And we're 107 pips below the yearly open at the moment, 240 above the monthly open. So for those of you who were trading the monthly wick zone here, you notice price doesn't like staying in the wick zone, and it definitely came out of it. Yesterday we broke the weekly inside bar that occurred 6 weeks ago. We broke it again today. Right now we're 20 pips above it, but you can see there was a potential of maybe 35, 36 pips on that move. And note, we had an inside bar 2 months ago. There's the high, 138.34, and with the low of 134.33. So those levels will still be in effect. Finally, we've got 5 pairs over 100 pips in range, with the pound clocking in at 85 today. The buy zone definitely paid off here, both to the north and to the south, with the south actually giving a very nice signal. A little chop on the buy zone here on the upside. Taking the daily open cross, though, a few hours ago would have paid off nicely. Red rats getting ready to feast. Green rats, looks like they've already feasted once today. Pivot trading plan, let's see. It said near R1 bias short. That has not paid off so far. But near the pivot, the bias was long. So even though it went through the pivot, came back up, if you would have picked up the long trade, that would have paid off nicely. So on the daily pivot, we've taken that out. The weekly pivot we've missed. And we've taken out the monthly pivot. So no monthly pivots haven't been hit since the year 2014. Weekly, we had 2 missed in 2020 and 2 missed in 2021. So we're just going to have to wait and see if some of these pivots that have been missed can get taken out. And as far as the daily goes, you see we've had so far, it looks like 3 missed pivots in 2021, and we had 6 in 2020. On the wick zone, it took me a while. I couldn't even remember the indicators that I did for the stats, but I did find them. There's so many indicators I've written over the past decade or so, it's hard for me to keep up. I remember somebody was actually trying to keep up with an index and index all the indicators I wrote, but they even gave up because I was writing them at such a pace that they couldn't keep up. But that's really my fault as a programmer. I should have those all in an index, so it'd be easy to, look up by keyword if you're looking for a particular indicator. So that's a shame on me. But what this indicator is telling me is that 73% of the time out of the last 1,000 H1 bars, it occurred outside, the price closed outside of the wick zone. Now, those are the indicators here. And so actually what we want to look at is, this looks like this has the old, needs to be updated. So maybe I will update that. And let's see, let's look at it for the last, let's see, I say 52 bars. No, this is daily. So let's do, well, let's just leave it at 1,000. We get plenty of data. So, and we also have the high-low to pass through. I haven't played with these indicators in a while, so I'm not sure if I had hard-coded them to do the daily or not. I'll have to take a look at the code, but we can see 73% of the time it closed outside of the wick zone. Closed in the upper wick zone 15, almost 16% of the time, and in the bottom almost 11% of the time. So price doesn't like staying in the wick zone. And here you can see price went through the top 48% of the time, through the bottom 45% of the time. So these wick zone trades, especially on the daily, can really be profitable. But as always, you have to set your stop loss. And remember, these videos are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from mine. Okay, so at the end of the week, you can see we had a 164 pip range, 100 pips less than last week. We're only at the 33 percentile. So maybe next week we'll have an explosion. We broke out of the high by 112 pips. We didn't even get close to the low. And for the rat zone traders, we have 19 pips off the high at the moment and 146 pips off the low. For the buy zone traders, high minus open potential 159 pips, and open minus low only 5 pips. So there really wasn't much happening to the south side here. And if we switch over and take a look at the monthly, you can see even this monthly range is compressed. 389 pips. Last month was 504, so we're only in the 33 percentile here. We did not break out of the previous month's high. 34 pips break out of the previous month's low. And the rat zone traders, high minus close, only 18 pips at the moment. Very small wick, relatively speaking. And the close minus low, here we have 371 pips at the moment. And for the buy zone traders, 254 above the open potential and 135 below the low. So there was money to be made all around. And just for the day, we have 85 pip range, high minus close, 17 pips, close minus low, 68. And looking at some of our trading charts here, Walmart method paid off really nice the last hour, breaking through the 20. And even if you took the short at 10, you were rewarded with some pips. This hour, a short at 40 would have paid off. And the higher low, lower high, H1, no trade, but usually we're at the M1 or M5 level. You can see here there was an M1 short to be had. And actually, there was an M1 long to be taken, be up a few pips there. And if we switch over to M5, you can see there was a nice trade here. One ball appeared, time to get out. And here price dipped below the lowest high, came back up. Would have paid off if you took the trade. Okay, I think somebody was asking about this. I'm trying to remember why I put this chart in. Or actually, maybe this is something, actually some old indicators, new indicators. We've got the price action, support resistance, and that was 2017, 2020 Virgin Wick zones. And what I'm looking for is price to return to a Virgin Wick zone, and also looking at highs and lows flip-flopping, so support becomes resistance or resistance becomes support, to see how that happens. It looks kind of busy, that's for sure, but this is back when I was playing with the buttons. But you can see here where the Virgin Wick zones are, and so price is probably going to want to return to these areas. And you can also use TRO HL5 to show these, because you can just say only show not crisscrossed, and you can either do it for the open or close of the candle or for top and bottom, either way. But if you put on the only show not crisscross, you get these same horizontal lines. So, fellow traders, it's been a real fun year. I'd like to thank you all for watching and participating. I hope the year was profitable for you, and I hope next year's even more profitable. And since this is the weekly wrap up, I wish you a fun and safe weekend, and really be careful. It's New Year's Eve, it's amateur hour out there. So my plans are I'm going to just stay warm and dry. It's been kind of cold and wet here on the southern Oregon coast and the US of A. So that's what I'm going to do. As far as next year goes, I've got a few new indicators I've been working on for the donation holes. The 2022s will be coming out. I'll probably show a couple of those next week. Trying to think. Other than that, I think we'll just have to keep on keeping on, as this month's motto or mantra or focus was on keeping it simple. Well, there's no reason to make anything complicated next year, none at all. So, fellow traders, hopefully I'll see you next year. And remember, when you sit down at your trading platform next year, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So, drain the banks. This is TheRumpledOne.